Hi, everybody. It's Georgia Pinto here with Local Real Estate. I am a realtor in Southwest Florida, and I'm very excited to be inviting my friend and lender, Vicki Allen. Vicki, welcome to the Discover Florida with Georgia channel.
Thank you so much, Georgia. I'm happy to be here today. As Georgia mentioned, I'm a local lender working here in Southwest Florida for Movement Mortgage, and I serve the entire state of Florida with residential mortgages. And I'm so excited to be here and talk about this Hometown Heroes program. It's an awesome program.
Awesome. So there's been a lot of buzz about this program. So let's jump right into it. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes it so special and buzzworthy, if you will?
Sure, yeah. So it's interesting because there are other down payment assistance programs that are already available in the state of Florida, but this is a brand new program and it offers additional benefits to home buyers who are in eligible occupations. So it's sort of like a special thank you to our hometown heroes who are working in these specific occupations that really support our local communities. And what makes this different than the other down payment assistance programs is some of the benefits are different, but also I think one of the most significant things is that there are higher income limitations and higher maximum loan amounts. So it makes it easier for people in these eligible occupations be able to qualify for the program.
That's awesome. So, really, we're going to see people who have just kind of been stuck with renting and, as you and I know, paying a lot for their rentals, finally being able to buy houses.
Exactly. And I love that. I love helping people, achieve that home ownership dream and be able to start building equity in owning their own home rather than paying rent to a landlord.
Definitely. There's so much pride and so much, so many blessings that are associated with that. I'm really passionate and excited about that too.
Yeah. And we're talking
So,
about folks who are so integrated in our community and so important to our communities. So it's important to make sure they have, access to housing and are able to live where they work.
right. So I know, like, before speaking with you the other day, and then we just had a little bit of time off camera. I had the opportunity in February to go up to Tallahassee with the leadership group I'm a part of with Benita Estero Realtors. And Governor DeSantis spoke a little bit about it. But since this program has recently gone into action, can you tell us a little bit about who is eligible?
Sure. Let's start out by talking about the occupations that qualify for the
Okay.
program. So when we talk about hometown heroes, there's always the question of, how are those occupations defined? And this program has a fairly broad number of occupations that are included. There's over 50 occupations,
Oh,
and it includes things like your protective service occupation, so law enforcement, firefighters, EMT, educational, so not just teachers, but also counselors, social workers, librarians, childcare workers. And then we have health practitioners, so physicians, nurses, dentists, optometrists, chiropractors, therapists, acupuncturists, healthcare support like pharmacists, pharmacy techs, nutritionists, athletic trainers, massage therapists, veterinarians, vet techs, and of course, active duty military veterans and their surviving spouses. So, all in all, we have over 3 million people in the state of Florida that we know already are in these eligible occupations. So, I've just listed off a few. There are many, many more that are included. And if anyone isn't sure if their occupation might be included, they can always feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to help them out with it.
that's great. I was thinking the same thing, and we'll definitely have our contact information in the notes. I also wanted to ask you, if somebody maybe was working part-time, is there like a certain number of hours that they need to be working, or is that kind of done with their pay stubs in
Yeah,
order
so
to?
so the requirement is based on being licensed in the state of Florida or having a certification in the state of Florida for that career. So that's really the key thing is
Okay.
to be actively licensed or certified either by the state or by your local governing board depending on the occupation. Sometimes it's at a state level or a local level, but that's really the key part of the program, is to be licensed or certified.
So if you're listening, you might be one of the 3 million people eligible. Please be sure to reach out to Vicki. And if you are, or if you aren't, Vicki is an expert in other kinds of things too, but she'd
Yes.
love to help you. And we'd both love to help you together, take advantage of the Hometown Hero program. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. So what other criteria, you've mentioned the eligible occupations, but like what other criteria would either be, including somebody or excluding somebody from this program?
Yeah, great question. So in addition to being in an eligible occupation, you also need to be considered a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
And there's an interesting definition of that. It's not necessarily the way you would naturally think of it, but the way it's defined for this program is a first-time home buyer is anyone who has not owned and occupied their primary residence in the past 3 years. So that means that you could have somebody who owned a home 4 or 5 years ago and lived in it, sold that home and has been renting for the past couple years. And as long as they haven't owned their primary residence in the past 3 years, they would be considered a first-time home buyer. And then another point to make with this criteria for first-time home buyer is there is an exception for veterans and their spouses. They're exempt from that requirement. So other occupations do have that requirement, but there's that special exception for veterans.
And what exactly is the definition of a primary residence?
So the primary residence would be your primary place where you live. So usually that would mean you're spending the majority of your time. You may have a second home somewhere else, but the place where you're spending the majority of your time and you live is your primary residence.
Okay, great. And what kinds of income and loan limits are there? Because I know, like a teacher in Collier County makes different than a different amount than a teacher in Lee County. So we probably won't want to get too specific today. Would it be best for people to contact you about that? And
yes, so you make a great point. It absolutely does vary by county as far as the income limits. And just want to drop a note here what we mean when we say income limit. So there is a maximum income that you can have to qualify for this program. So they set a threshold and you must have your income be below that limit. So that's what we mean when we say an income limit. It applies to the borrower or borrowers on the loan. So if you had one person on the loan, their income is what we count towards that income limit. And it does vary by county. So throughout the state of Florida, each county has an income limit assigned to it. And I would expect, as they typically do with these programs, that each year those values are adjusted based on inflation and other factors. So, so that's why it's really best to, if you want to find out more, best to reach out to me or your local lender that you're working with to find out the specifics that are in place at the time that you're making the loan.
Right. And this is going to kind of go along with my next question, but like say that my minimum credit score isn't what it needs to be. Would you kind of help coach me in order to, because, it took me a while. A lot of I was a teacher and it took me a while and my husband for us in order for us to buy a house. So maybe like if somebody didn't qualify this year, would you be able to give them some tips in order to qualify?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not a credit counselor, I'm not a specialist in this area. Some people really can benefit by working with a credit specialist to help repair their credit scores. So that's something that's always an option. And if I'm working with a client who I think will benefit from that, I'll share them, some contact information for credit specialists. But at the same time, I'm always happy to help with my clients look at ways that they can make changes in what they're doing today so that they position themselves to be in the right place in the future in order to buy. So whether that's looking at some things on the credit report. I can provide some tips as far as what things could make a difference in increasing the credit score, or, you know, if it's worthwhile to work with somebody who's a specialist in that area.
Right.
And then also other tips as far as, you know, saving and being in position in income and saving from that perspective as well. So the minimum credit score required for this program is 640.
Okay.
So that is a little bit higher than what we would normally require for example, an FHA loan without a down payment assistance. So the requirements are a little bit higher here, but to your point, if someone is thinking about it, but their credit score isn't right quite where they want it to be, they could start working on it now to plan for the future.
Awesome. And I know when we spoke this weekend, you had told me, and if we want to talk about it later, that's fine, but about how when the house is sold, then how does the Hometown Heroes money that
Mhm.
you know you borrowed, how does that come into play? Is that your money for life, or what happens?
Yeah. So first I'll talk about maybe what the benefit is and how
Okay.
it's set up in the beginning. And then that will flow in a little bit to how it works out at the end when you sell the house. So the benefit itself is you can receive down payment assistance of 5% of your loan amount up to a maximum benefit of $25,000. So it's the lesser of 5% or $25,000, and you can use that money towards your down payment and or your closing costs. So this is really great for somebody who maybe doesn't quite have the savings that they need in order to make the purchase, who needs a little bit extra towards their down payment in order to qualify for a higher purchase price, or for somebody who maybe does have the savings but would like to get the down payment assistance so that they can keep some of that savings in reserves for other uses or for fixing up the home that they're purchasing. So it gives people a lot more options, being able to use this down payment assistance program. And there are some reductions to the closing costs as well. So I mentioned that here as well, that the program does help you out a little bit in that area. Now, the way that it works when you get the down payment assistance is you will still have a primary loan, just like you would when you were buying a house without any down payment assistance. You could have an FHA loan, a VA loan, USDA conventional loan. You still have that loan, and that's the primary loan on your property. The down payment assistance acts like a second loan on your property. So the money is not just given to you free and clear. It is a loan, but you have no monthly payments on that loan, and you have 0% interest on that loan.
That's
So it's a
awesome.
non-amortizing 30-year term, 0% interest with no monthly payment. And so what that means is each month as you were living in that home, you would be paying a monthly payment on your primary loan, just like you would if you had no down payment assistance. And then you have this second loan that you don't have to make a monthly payment on. And then when you sell the house, you would have to repay the Hometown Hero down payment assistance. Other circumstances that could trigger you to have to repay the loan would be if you've refinanced the house, if you transfer the deed, if you vacate the home as a primary residence. So if it's no longer your primary residence for any reason, then that would trigger the payoff of the loan. So it does have to be paid off, but it does not have to be paid off with a monthly payment.
Okay. Thank you so much for all of this great information. I know when I had posted, I shared one of your posts on Facebook and Instagram. I had a few teachers reach out to me, and I'm just so excited that the net is that much bigger. It's not just for teachers, although I
Yes.
love my teachers.
And I love your passion for teachers. I know we've worked together on some
Yes.
special programs for Collier County Public Schools. And it's so exciting to be able to help teachers, but also help people in all of these other professions as well now with the Hometown Heroes program, because I'm just really passionate about helping people who live here and work here be able to make home ownership, a possibility for them. So
Right. And the ability to be able to, I always like to say like love where you work or love where you live. But some people, I know some of my Collier friends live like up in Cape Coral or Fort Myers or even Bonita
mhm,
Estero, which Bonita Estero isn't that big of a long of a commute. But with nightly events that teachers attend and all of these other hometown heroes,
mhm,
you're thinking about nurses who have really long commute or long days, 12-hour days.
yeah.
And then if you have like an hour or 45-minute commute either way on top of that, it can really make for a long day. Not to mention a lot of times people have to stop and pick up their kids on the way or drop their kids
Mhm.
off, in the mornings. And so
Yeah.
it really does take a toll. But
Yeah. So
I'm
one of the
really
benefits with this, having that little bit extra to go towards your down payment for people who've been saving for a down payment, that just might make the difference, that it makes them able to purchase a home at a slightly higher price point to get into the location that they want to be. But it is a good point to mention, if you are working, in one of these professions in Collier County, you can certainly use this program to buy a home in Lee County. You don't have to be buying the
right,
home in the same county that
right,
you work in. So for those that want the
want to,
flexibility,
right,
that's an option for them too.
right.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much. And it's going to be interesting to see that number being 3 million, like, because so many people are coming to Florida, like if there are going to be
Yes.
more people who are getting licensed in these professions and qualifying. And I look forward to you and I helping, like you mentioned, we're going to be doing that fair next month in Collier County with the teachers
Hmm.
and, just the many people that we meet every day and being able to help them. It really does bring me a lot of joy also. So I think that's definitely one thing we have in common. And I look forward
Yes.
to working with you. So thanks again for your time
Thank
today.
you. Thank you so
And
much. I'm super excited about this program. So I'm really happy to be able to work with you on it and help spread the news, because I think people really need to be aware. There might be some people who just wouldn't have thought of themselves as having, a qualifying occupation, and, didn't realize a vet tech also qualified for this program, or didn't realize a massage therapist also qualified for this program. So I think it's really important to get the word out, to spread the news. And for anybody whose occupation I didn't mention, but is in, a similar kind of field,
right.
like, feel free to reach out and ask. I'm happy to help answer any questions.
And I know she is, and she answers her phone on the weekends just like I do. So reach out to Vicki and reach out to me if there's anything that you need. So I will say so long and I'll
Thank
talk to
you,
you later.
Georgia.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.